Okay, go ahead.
Recording
Okay.
has started.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Little,
Here.
Jones,
Here.
Budge,
Here.
Desmond,
Here.
Frost. Don't see her on the list. Commissioner Liebig
Here.
and Commissioner Valenzuela.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Let's see, will Commissioner Liebig please lead us in the pledge?
Yes, please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag
of the
of the United States
of America,
and
to the
republic
for which it
stands
one
one
nation,
nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you very much, Commissioner. The Metro Cable announcement, it says that this meeting of the Local Agency Formation Commission is cablecast live on Metro Cable 14, the Local Government Affairs channel on Comcast, Consolidated Communications, and AT&T users. This meeting is closed captioned and live streamed at metro14live.saccounty.net. Today's meeting will be repeated Friday, April 9th at 2 p.m. and Saturday, April 10th at 2 p.m.
Wonderful. Thank you, Commissioner Little. Next, I have an announcement. In compliance with the directives of the county, state, and Center for Disease Control and Prevention, this meeting is live streamed and closed to in-person public participation. Temporary procedures are subject to change pursuant to guidelines related to social distancing and minimizing person-to-person contact. To make a verbal comment at today's meeting, dial area code 916-875-2500 and follow the prompts to be placed in queue for a specific agenda item or off-agenda matter. When the chair opens public comment for a specific agenda item or off-agenda matter, callers will be transferred from the queue into the meeting to make a verbal comment. Written comments are always accepted. Send your email to boardclerk@saccounty.net, and your comment will be routed to the board and filed in the record. Thank you.
Do we have any public comment?
No, we do not. We have no public comment. Matters off the agenda.
Great. Will the clerk please read the first item?
Our first item is our consent calendar, items 1 through 3.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jones, and I move approval of consent calendar.
Second.
Okay,
Desmond.
This is
okay, Desmond second. We have
Yes.
a first and second. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Thank you. Commissioner Budge,
Yes.
Commissioner Desmond,
Aye.
Commissioner Frost, I don't believe he's joined us yet. Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Liebig,
aye.
and Valenzuela.
Yes.
Hello, this is Sue
And
Frost.
Commissioner Little.
Okay. Aye for me.
Wonderful, thank you. All in favor, motion passed. Our next item is the item number 4, final fiscal year 2021 budget.
Excuse
And
me,
I
Chair
believe-
Little.
Yes, I believe Commissioner
This is
Frost has
Sue
joined us. Okay.
Sorry, I couldn't get in on Blue Jeans, so I'm on the phone. I am here, and my vote
Okay.
is. I'm
Okay,
sorry to confuse.
that's right. Welcome to the meeting.
Mr. Chair, can I
Thank you.
ask a clarification?
Yes, please.
Okay, it was just announced as the budget for 2020, 2021, but in the agenda, it's 21, 22.
Correct, thank you, Commissioner Budge. That is correct. It's 21, 22. Thank you.
I just wanted to ask. Thank you.
Thank you. And Commissioner Frost, were you there for the vote on the consent calendar?
I was not there, but I have an I vote on the consent calendar. I was trying to get in on Blue Jeans. I'm terribly sorry I couldn't get in.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Mr. Lockhart, we'll turn it over to you for the budget.
Good evening, Chair and members of the Commission. The item before you was previously presented as a proposed annual budget for the fiscal year 21-22 last month at your March meeting. At that time, we were directed as staff to circulate the budget as proposed for the review and comment of affected contributed agencies. We've done so. The budget is also reflects any public and commissioner concerns or comments that were presented last month. We have received no comments from any funding agencies or members of the public. The budget is status quo. I have nothing further to add from my presentation from last month. I am happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, I would recommend the commission approve the budget as proposed, as presented, I should say.
Do we have a motion?
This
Move
is Lindsay.
approval.
I move the budget.
Okay. Commissioner Levy? Do we have a second?
Cross, second.
Ross? Okay. Any discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Thank you. Commissioner Budge,
Yes.
Desmond,
Aye.
Frost,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Liebig,
Aye.
Valenzuela,
Yes.
Little.
Aye.
Thank you. All in favor? Motion passed. Next item is item number 5, the Florin Resource Conservation District, Elk Grove Water District Final Municipal Service Review and Sphere of Influence, MSR refresh.
Good evening again. The item before you is the final municipal services review for the Florida Resource Conservation District / Elk Grove Water District. You may recall that this also was on your agenda in March. At that time, we had public hearings received public comment and commissioner comments. The final MSR is before you this evening. This completes the updating, refreshing of the municipal service review that the commission approved February in 2017. We've received no further comments from the public regarding this. We do have members of the public this evening that may have some thoughts to share with the commission. I have nothing else to share with you other than to clarify. We did provide an addendum report for the benefit of the commission to clarify that the staff recommendation is that the commission approve the resolution which accepts the municipal services review sphere of influence update for Florida Resource Conservation District. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions of the commission.
Did we have public questions from the public on this?
Yes, we do. We have 2 public commenters. I have Lynn on the phone and Suzanne. So I'm going to ask Lynn to start her public comment.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name's Lynn Meek. As a resident of Elk Grove and a ratepayer, I'd like to comment on the MSR of the FRCD Elk Grove Water District. I have made efforts to educate myself on the workings of EGWT by attending the district meetings, as well as having met with Mr. Madison to discuss the operations and finances of Elk Grove Water District and the FRCD. Unfortunately, as I have learned, I did not ask the right questions to really get to the core of my nagging concerns. I've read through this well-written report. In my opinion, it lacks the transparency I believe ratepayers deserve. I can ask any of my neighbors about our high water rates, and in particular over the last couple of years. My one neighbor, like myself, saw our rates increase. How could this be? As a result of the 2018 rate study, a tier system was implemented. True enough, the base rate did not increase. However, if one went over the base rate, the water bill dramatically increased through this new tier system. We already pay one of the highest rates in the county. The rate study justified increases because a quarter of the budget is going out to pay debt. This debt is not by conventional municipal bonds, but by very vague private certificates of participation that are paying double-digit interest rates. Certificates of participation are held by investors who have a share of the loose revenue. My question is, who are the investors? This is not explained in the report. As Elk Grove Water District is a subset of the FRCD and the only RCD whose primary function is water delivery, and the city of Elk Grove continues to expand beyond boundaries, with Elk Grove Water District showing interest in being the water purveyor of the city of Elk Grove's new growth area, I continue to feel there is a very real lack of transparency. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to meeting each of you in the future.
Thank you. Our next comment. We have another.
Yes, Suzanne?
Thank you. For the record, my name is Suzanne Petchy, and I'm a longtime 40-year-plus resident of Elk Grove and has taken an interest in water in our region. And with regard to the MSR for Foreign Resources Conservation District, Elk Grove Water District, with regard to Section 2, which is an examination of their transparency and the operation processes with regard to transparency to the public and encouraging public participation, I have some questions. Foreign Resource Conservation District is an enterprise special district. It's the only special district in California that operates as a water district, which is not within the normal statutory duties of a resource conservation district. Resource conservation districts were established in the 50s to engage in local conservation and soil management and related community-oriented activities. Foreign Resources Conservation District, by resolution, discontinued the normal functioning of an RCD, and by resolution of the board, operates solely for water-related activities for the Elk Grove Water District, which is described as a division of the Department of Foreign Resource Conservation District. I understand that resource conservation districts are normally funded by grants, community donations, gifts, and that they operate for the needs of the community. They have the right to solicit, to accept donations and gifts to fulfill the needs of the community they serve. These RCDs usually have a public website listing community activity and needs for funding, and solicit and receive these gifts publicly, donations from the public. Websites in the local area would include Yolo County RCD and the Dare RCD, both public websites that provide examples for giving gifts and donations. Section 6.3.3 of this MSR discusses that donations or contributed assets are recorded at acquisition value at date of donation. I've not been able to find a website for donations for Foreign RCD, a public website that accepts and solicits gifts, donations, and sponsorships, or has a list of the water projects that require funding by the community. So I'm asking then, these are some questions I ask as a public member seeking transparency. So how are these donations, gifts, and contributions being solicited if not through a public website? What groups in the community and outside the community are being then privately solicited? What are the water activities of Elk Grove Water for which these gifts, donations, and contributions are being solicited that the public has not been made aware? And really, is Foreign RCD acting within the purview of the statutory role as an RCD in privately soliciting donations for water-related activities? Is this donation fund part of the audited assets of Elk Grove Water District, or is it a separate fund, not a part of the audit? Does the public have access to the information about these accounts? Who are the donors? What are the assets in the fund? How are they being used? Do they benefit the ratepayers? These are all questions that are not answered in this MSR. And Elk Grove Water District recently filed a resolution for the acceptance of donations and gifts to their agency. This is a public agency, and we're talking about public transparency. And you're asking to certify and to approve this MSR for a special district that is a public agency that owes transparency to the public that it serves. So I'm asking you to raise some of these questions about these donations. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you both for your comments. Do we have any, there's no one else for comments?
No, sir, we do not have any other comments for item 5.
Okay. We have a recommendation, a staff recommendation to adopt the resolution number LAFC 2021-06 0407-0420, accepting the final attached Florin Resource Conservation District / Elk Grove Water District Municipal Service Review and Sphere of Influence update.
Is there, excuse me, Chair Little?
Yes.
This is Sue Frost. Is it possible for Dawn to respond to that last, there were some questions there that person asked. Can staff respond to that a little bit?
Sure. You're not on, Dawn. There's no sound, Dawn.
Mark Madison, the general manager for the district, I believe, is with us on the telephone. Mark, are you available? Mark doesn't appear to be available. What I would suggest is if the members of the public want to capture very briefly their concerns relative to the contributions and identification of contributions, to me via email, don.lockhart@saclafco.org. Just link off of the website. Send that to me and I'll work with the district to develop a response. We'll provide the response to the members of the public and we'll include the commission in that report back.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Don. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jones. I so move.
Okay.
Desmond, a second.
Okay. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Budge,
Yes.
Desmond,
Aye.
Frost,
Aye.
thank you. Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Liebig,
Aye.
and Valenzuela,
Yes.
and Commissioner Little.
Aye.
Wonderful. All in favor, motion passed. The next item is item number 6, the Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District, proposed sphere of influence amendment and annexation.
Good evening. This item before you may be familiar with it. In February, we presented the item for the consideration of the commission. At the time, the district was requesting a waiver of the non-concurrent processing policy of the commission. And in other words, the district wanted only one application to cover the sphere of influence amendment request and the annexation related to that sphere of influence area. Your commission did vote to the affirmative to allow that waiver on a one-time basis. The district then filed their application by resolution of the board of the Regional Sanitation District. We have reviewed the process. We've been working with the staff and consultants of regional staff for some time. The gist of the project is a positive project for the region. It's the provision of recycled irrigation water to irrigation, for the exercise of irrigation to existing agricultural uses and existing habitat preservation resources such as the Consumnes River Preserve and Stone Lakes National Wildlife Refuge. The area covered by the proposal is 26,000 acres, South Sacramento County, roughly south of the city of Elk Grove, north of Twin Cities Road, and it's between I-5 on the west boundary and Highway 99 as the east boundary. The population of the area is around 3,000 people, estimated by SACO. What the district's motivation for this is to reduce the amount of treated effluent that's presently being discharged into the Sacramento River, finding other positive sustainable uses for that resource. The benefits of this proposal would be to provide a low-cost irrigation water source for the agricultural and habitat managers. The participation is by contract between the individual property owner and the district. It's done on a voluntary basis. There is no cost impact to any landowners who did not participate in the proposal. The proposal is revenue neutral in the regard that the cost to bear this, specifically of the Harvest Water Program, which is the title given to this by the district, this process by the district. It reduces the cost of operations overall for the district and allowing them to be more efficient in their treatment of the wastewater that's generated through their processes. Regional sanitation, as the commission may recall, is the sanitary sewer district throughout the county and portions of Yolo County, well, West Sacramento, that operates the collection and treatment of wastewater. They have a companion independent special district, the Sacramento Sewer District, that operates the various collector systems at a local level. City of Sacramento, City of Folsom also have local collection systems that tie into the larger SASD, which also ultimately goes to the regional wastewater treatment plant in the south area between City of Sacramento and City of Elk Grove. The proposal, as I say, has not been encountered any resistance or pushback from land use agencies, from the environmental community, or from the agricultural community, which is a nice. It's pleasant from a staff's perspective to have everybody singing the praises of a proposal. So I think that what we're doing here is asking the commission to recommend a chance for a new service, recycled water service, treated recycled water service to be provided. The condition, there's one condition that we've worked with the district. We would like to recommend your commission consider the application of this condition of approval, which essentially calls out that the Harvest Water Program sphere of influence area is being approved for a single service, irrigation, recycled irrigation water. That would guide the infrastructure, pump stations, pipelines, distribution system, and it would be sized strictly for that resource, irrigated, treated irrigation water. This is a significant point in that Regional San also treats, as I say, countywide wastewater as a result of a lot of development activity, both within the county of Sacramento and incorporated as well as the 7 cities. By moving this project ahead, the savings is, again, the cost and savings are shared with the beneficiaries within the affected area. The condition states clearly that this approval is strictly for the Harvest Water Program, treated irrigation wastewater. Nothing, no action of the commission or is being approved that would allow for any fundamental or foundational efforts to develop or contribute to the development of infrastructure planning that might accommodate urbanization. A key point here is regional sanitation is a single service provider, and that it is in the wastewater collection and treatment business. It also is permitted to do recycled water services. Does not have land use authority. None of the acreage within the proposed area, land uses or zoning would be changed as a result of this action. It remains under the jurisdiction of the Sacramento County Board of Supervisors. A portion, give or take about 3,000 or 4,000 acres of the site to the north shares a common boundary with the approved City of Elk Grove sphere of influence along Camera Road. That proposal, the language of the condition and the project itself would not permit any sort of urbanized planning as a result of this to occur for those lands within the City of Elk Grove sphere. Separate and distinct in the event that any of those landowners wish to develop under the oversight of the City of Elk Grove, they would be required to file an annexation application. The annexation would be to the City of Elk Grove, also to Regional Sanitation and Sacramento Area Sewer District, specific for the services to serve that development. So there's a clear distinction between lands that there is some overlap of a city sphere and the services that are being provided as a result of the Harvest Water Program versus services that may be provided in the future by regional sanitation in the event that a request is submitted. Any such annexation would come to your commission for consideration, approval or modification or lack of or denial. So with that, I think we do have folks from regional sanitation available to answer questions. It's a large project, but it's a fairly straightforward project, single service for sustainable agriculture to contribute to the ongoing efforts to support habitat preservation in the South County by Yosemite River Reserve and the Stone Lakes Refuge as well. We have received letters of support from various stakeholders. We have not received any comments of opposition from agencies or individuals. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions, or I can remind you that we do have staff available for regionals.
This is Sue Frost. I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Don.
Hello.
I just wanted to ask you. So, and I think, yeah, I've been in all the regional sand meetings, and I'm really excited about this and support it. I just wanted to make sure I understand going forward the nature of the lines. So basically, if someone was going to come in and want to develop, or I'm trying to understand, would there then be an overlap of districts over this, or would this become part of whatever development comes along?
Sure.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Because
Well,
it seems like there's a blurring of the how that would, because I know this would benefit. It seems like this would benefit any community if you had this type of asset, happening. But I'm just trying to figure out. So that you're saying this does not impact development at all, but it does accrue to the amount of water that's needed in that jurisdiction. So it changes, how their application comes in and how we analyze the situation.
Quickly, I think the distinction needs to be made that this is, while the district regional sand is permitted presently to provide recycled water services, you may be more familiar with seeing landscaping and some areas of Elk Grove, some areas elsewhere in the county that are receiving what's called purple pipe recycled water for irrigation. In this case, this is a different scale project using treated recycled water for on-site irrigation for agricultural activities as well as habitat preservation activities. This water is treated to a standard to allow it for application for crop cultivation. It is not treated to a level of what's called potable water, municipal industrial use that would be safe to be brought to end users, industrial office or residential end users. That's a service that is also provided. The treatment of that water is provided by regional SAD. The service of that delivery of that water would be provided to this area in the event an annexation was requested. I use the example of the area within the city sphere of influence. And doing the the plan for services that would accompany that proposed annexation, which we don't have an application for an annexation, so this is all in the by way of example. That proposal would require a full array of municipal scale services. So there would be an annexation, again, to regional sanitation, but it would be specifically for regional sanitation to provide services to support urbanization development. So those services would be to work in conjunction with SASD, landowners in the city of Oak Grove to develop an infrastructure collection system, and that would then be conveyed to the regional wastewater treatment plant for treatment. A portion of that would be processed through perhaps into this harvest water program water bank, if you will, and then could be drawn from that to continue to have agriculture and habitat supportive, non-treated irrigation water. Nothing further. Also, another point that the district was clear about was that the district will provide an infrastructure to deliver the water. The district is not in the treated potable water business now. Again, right now this area is not served by any water district provider. It would have to be, consideration would be given in the development of the plan for services, whether or not Sacramento County Water Agency would be the appropriate entity. They would then go through the board process to amend their boundary. So it is a fine but very distinct line. What's being requested of the commission this evening is the approval of an area to be added to the city sphere, to the district's, regional sand district's sphere of influence, specifically for one service being recycled irrigation water. If anyone wants to avail themselves of anything else, then they would have to go through the exercise of, well, frankly, if they're not in the sphere of influence of Elk Grove, south of that would be very problematic for anyone to request any kind of annexation. Landowners have the right of application regardless, but it would be problematic for folks, say, well removed from the exterior, the northerly boundary, to request a standalone annexation for urbanization. This does not open the door to that path, this proposal. Does that help out a little bit?
Yeah, so yes, it does. Thank you so much. So it's the county that, but not the state. It's the county and it's jurisdictional, and I think that helps a lot. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Are there any other questions? Chairman Little, I think we do have some staff from Regional SAD. They may have some points they'd like to contribute to the commission. Okay, that would be great.
Yeah, thank you. This is Dave Ochinacek from Policy and Planning for Regional SAD, and kind of add to Don's response. And thank you, Don. That was well covered. Just to kind of add to that just a little bit, the recycled water, we have to go through a process called a petition for change of use. for the purposes of redirecting where our effluent over treatment plant goes. And we've done that for the purposes of the harvest water program. But that approval of that petition was specific for agricultural irrigation and habitat lands irrigation. So we don't have an opportunity, and we are not interested or are part of any potable water solutions. And we also don't have, in this case, the opportunity to provide recycled water to an urban landscape condition. That's slightly different from what we've done up to this point. We many years ago went through the same process for the smaller scale recycled water program that we have right now, which is up to 10 million gallons per day of flow. And that is designed for, it can be either for agricultural irrigation, but it includes also urban landscape and industrial purposes as well. So the current petition, the water right, I'll call it, is a little bit different from what we received for the harvest water. So just going a little bit further, this water that we're looking to transmit down to the South County is for those purposes only, the ag irrigation and habitat lands purposes. So I hope that helps.
So will you have the ability to extend it from there?
Not without going through that process again. The petition for change is specific to an area as well, not just the use. So we would have to go through that process again, and obviously as we're working our way through the annexation process, we would have to modify what's happening here tonight as well.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So again, Dave Ochnacek from Regional SAN. I also have with me tonight Dave Richardson, who is from Woodard and Kern, is our lead engineer working on our program management office, helping us move forward with this harvest water program. I also have Jose Ramirez, who's within my staff, and Jose has been working with our water recycling program for well better than a decade and has a whole bunch of experience with respect to the use of recycled water. So they're available to help with questions if are needed. I wanted to thank Don and his staff. We've been working together for quite some time, and he's been helping us navigate through this process. Not a very familiar process for us. It's been a huge help, and we appreciate his service and help for this program. And then the commission too as well. We generated a lot of documentation over the last several years, and I know we uploaded a ton of information. So I'm sure you spent some time looking at that. And so that's time consuming. I appreciate your time and effort there. I got a fair presentation here, just a couple things within it, the background. We'll talk about some status, some of our outreach efforts, and a little bit about our financing. I also, at the end of the presentation, have a series of maps that are more specific to the actual annexation area, and they can help us see the actual properties if we need to talk about them. So Alma, if you don't mind the next slide, it'd be great. I think we can skip right on past the background slide and move forward as well.
Slide number 4, okay?
Yes, that would be great. Thank you. It is not advancing for me. I'm not sure if it is for others.
Strange.
I'll just start talking. The exhibit there is what I want to work from anyway. The map there is a map, and in the upper, I'm not sure if your commission is seeing the presentation slides at this point. Is that?
Oh, there we
go.
There we go.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we are.
So I wanted to point out a few things in the map here first. Our regional sanitation district treatment plant is in the upper left-hand corner there of the map. Many of you have heard of the Echo Water project. That project will result in much higher quality treated wastewater That treated wastewater will meet Title 22 tertiary treated, disinfected, recycled water. As it stands right now, that water goes out to the Sacramento River. All of it does. What we plan to do, and you can see from the exhibit, is to move a substantial amount of what is normally our effluent to the river and move it over to and irrigate the area in blue in the South County, provide irrigation water for agricultural purposes, and for some of it will go to habitat lands. Don had mentioned the general area of this blue area is not quite the annexation area. It's where we plan to provide recycled water. It is the area south of the current city boundary. Elk Grove city boundary is generally bounded then by I-5 on the west, Highway 99 and Cosumnes River on the east, and then Twin Cities down towards the bottom. The map that I have in the latter part of the presentation will show the actual boundary for the annexation. So with this recycled water, we plan to provide at least or up to 50,000 acre feet per year of recycled water. Most of it will go to agricultural irrigation. On average, about 32,500 acre feet. A substantial portion of that 50,000 acre feet will be for agriculture. Most of the farmers down in that area are using groundwater wells. And the benefits that we'll see as we work through the presentation is that by taking them off their groundwater wells, we will get an increase in the groundwater levels. This is what is referred to as in lieu groundwater recharge. And our target is approximately 16,000 acres of agricultural land. The remainder of that recycled water will be used for wintertime applications and some other ecosystem improvements. There will be multiple benefits out of this. The groundwater restoration portion of it, the groundwater levels will come up. The groundwater area there, I think most of you are quite familiar with SGMA's Sustainable Groundwater Management Act. This is a big help to the basin, the South American basin, with respect to satisfying the SGMA requirements. And it also provides an opportunity for regional water sustainability. There are water quality improvements, as I mentioned. We currently discharge all of our treated wastewater out to the Sacramento River. The water is very clean for discharge, but there are still some constituents in it. So moving it to an agricultural irrigation opportunity provides some benefits to the Sacramento River. And then ecosystem improvements, the increased groundwater levels allow for more connection with Cosumnes River, which sometimes runs dry. And the riparian areas that border the Cosumnes River are also benefited. We also have some land management items that will be benefited out of our program as well. With all these improvements and benefits, we're successful in getting a substantial grant from the state, that water storage investment program. We've been awarded nearly $290 million to help with this program. So next slide, Alma. Thank you. This exhibit helps us understand what kind of water level improvements we would see within the groundwater basin. The blue line is without the harvest water program. The orange line is with the harvest water program. You can see just right out of the get-go that there are improvements there. What's interesting is that those improvements happen relatively early. In the first 15 years, we get up to 35 feet of groundwater level improvements. That again will help with stream flow in the Cosumnes River. Over time here, we end up with stored water in the ground, the in lieu recharge. And that 245,000 acre feet in the first 10 years, just to put that in perspective, our Folsom Lake is 1 million acre feet, And so in the first 10 years, we're looking at about a quarter of the capacity of our Folsom Lake. And over time, it increases to even more. And that water will help with, again, with regional sustainability, regional water supply sustainability. On the next slide, please. The ecosystem benefits that we are seeking, we are working on 3,500 acres worth of sandhill crane habitat that the recycled water could support, 500 acres for vernal pool habitat. I mentioned that, you know, the improvements of the groundwater table and the stream flow conditions in Casumas River will also help with the fall run Chinook salmon. And then over a period of time, we're looking at about 1,000 acres of riparian forest that will be improved with this program. Next slide. We've been working on a lot of partnerships. There's several of them here. I don't spend too much time talking about these. Farm Bureau has been a huge help lately. We've been working with them for quite some time, and they've been helping us outreach to our farmers out there and encourage their interest in recycled water use. Nature Conservancy has also been a big part of our support. They manage some of the riparian areas along the Casumas River, and they're big advocates for us as well. And from our package, there's also a number of letters that we've gotten from folks that are in support of this program. But as Dawn mentioned earlier on, we've seen no opposition to our efforts here. Next slide, please. And next slide again, please. So here's some updates on where we are right now. Again, we're working with landowners. There's a need to get them engaged partly for the use of recycled water for ag irrigation, but there's also some opportunities, as I've mentioned, for land management that fit with our eco plan efforts. So those are also things that we're working with landowners for. We're here tonight to work on our annexation process and looking forward to moving on through that process. It's an important step. We need the annexation to be complete before we can complete our agreements with farmers for the use of groundwater. We've been working on CEQA process for some time now. We had 3 supplemental CEQA documents that were necessary to complete CEQA process. Part of that is also covers the annexation process, and those supplemental CEQA documents build off of a programmatic EIR we had a few years ago. We are regulatory body for the purposes of using recycled water is the Regional Water Quality Control Board. We are continuing to work with them in permitting the use of recycled water, which is necessary for this program. And then we've been modeling 2 different things, the groundwater and ecological benefits. You've seen the previous slides, the groundwater improvements that are made by the Harvest Water Program, and then there are also a number of ecological benefits that we're looking to get out of the Harvest Water Program. We're continuing to work on agreements. We'll need to have agreements with each of the farmers, and we actually have some state programs that are state agencies we need agreements with as well as part of that WSIP grant that I mentioned before. And then we have initiated our work on the capital program, and there's an exhibit that follows. Alma, if you could move to the next slide. This is just a general exhibit that shows the extent of the transmission and distribution systems that we are planning to install. We're working with our designers are on board for the Harvest Water pumping station, and the main part, the red portion, the primary portion of the transmission pipeline. And then we'll be working further with designers and construction of the piping system that you see in the exhibit. ultimately to connect approximately 75 farms. Next slide, Alma. So schedule, brief schedule anyway. Again, we've been working on environmental documents. We're deep into permitting for the purposes of both the use of recycled water and the construction permitting. We are moving well along in our annexation process. We have some water quality permitting, and then we have some obligations with respect to our grant, again, working with state agencies and the grant managers. We're starting design, the construction will follow obviously, and then towards the bottom there, you'll see a water drop. We are looking to start providing recycled water in approximately the end of 2024. Next slide, Alma. Next slide again, please. This exhibit helps understand we've been doing a lot of outreach, working with farming communities out there. The green is the area where we have farmers who are interested. They have signed a letter of interest, a letter of intent, excuse me. So much of the area has interest. We are targeting some others, and that the blue areas are outreach that we're working on, and then we have some future efforts as well. But to the left of that bar chart there shows on a acre feet per year basis about how far along we are. Again, we're from previous slide, we're shooting for 32,500 acre feet of water, recycled water to be delivered to farms. And with this, with the letters of interest or intent, we're substantially moving along with respect to getting farmers' interest in this program. Next slide. And next slide again. Thank you. Cost. In total, and this has a number of elements, we're looking for $444 million. Most of it obviously is for the infrastructure costs. There's a fair bit of it that's associated with the ecological program, which was funded with the WSIP grant, and then there's other program costs and associated with managing the program. So keep that number in mind, 444 million. There are some revenues that we'll look at here to see the offset. So in the next slide, please, Amma. As I mentioned, we have the WSIP grant, which is great help. We have a USBR Bureau of Reclamation grant for 4.2 million. That's for planning. And then down below that, there's some other possible revenues that are likely to come in. But to a certain extent, we will be, largely offsetting the costs of the program. What's important to realize, though, is, as I mentioned, our current discharge is solely to go out to the Sacramento River, and that is a highly regulated discharge. And we're challenged with that every 5 years when we need to update our waste discharge permit. So for the purposes of our ratepayers who will be shouldering some of this cost, the effluent management portion of this and the ability to have a different location to discharge our effluent is a significant benefit and will likely result in significant financial value to regional SAN. Next slide. And this is pretty much that was the end of the presentation. If you want, next slide, Alma, and I think we'll just kind of scoot through these. This is the actual annexation area. This is drawn along property boundaries, which makes it bigger than the area that we plan to actually provide recycled water to. So that's the boundary. And then Alma, next slide. This is an indexing of that map. And then Alma, let's just roll through the next 6 slides. These are those indexed slides with numbers corresponding to those properties. And so if there's any questions associated with those, we can bring them up. And I have a spreadsheet that relates those numbers to assessor parcel numbers and owners. And that concludes my presentation, and we can take questions.
Do we have any questions or any questions from the public?
Alma, do we have public speakers?
I'm sorry, yes, we do have public speakers.
Thank you.
Lynn, would you like to start your public comment?
Yes, thank you. My name is Lynn Lee, and I'm a resident of Elk Grove. I continue to oppose the combination of an SOI and annexation application approval. I'm not against the concept of the Harvest Echo Water Project. However, I do believe the concerns I have previously expressed still remain. The general public outreach to the ratepayers has been minimal. If you did a survey, I believe 99% of ratepayers would respond with an "I don't know" about this project. Yet the ratepayers will be splitting the operating expenses of $5 million annually, and to whose benefit? The project suggests that this will not spark any new growth to the area, while at the same time acknowledging Elk Grove's approved SOIs outside of the urban service boundary. Elk Grove's SOI proposals are planned for development, and in particular, housing development. The report describes this as a long-range planning tool to include any changes to service demand, population, and employment. SRCSD is an independent special district with latent powers, including water purveyor. You are being asked to approve this project with a condition of approval, limiting the project to only provide recycled water for agricultural irrigation. My question to you, is this CUP in perpetuity? Can this CUP be legally binding and trump latent powers of this special district? As I heard when I toured the site at Franklin, the sewer water is being cleaned up enough to be drinkable, but that it is a hard sell. Does this mean the long-range plan is for the future residents to be drinking the recycled water? I believe the public education and outreach needs to be done before approval of this SOI and annexation. Ratepayers deserve to know something about the grants and our tax dollars and what they're paying for. I want to understand how this project will benefit us all. Does it equally benefit the ratepayers? In my mind, the most important stakeholder, the ratepayer, has not had a seat at the table in this decision-making process. Thank you for your time, and I hope to receive answers to my questions.
And then we have another public commenter, Suzanne Pecci.
Thank you. For the record, my name is Suzanne Pecci, and I'm a long-term resident of Elk Grove, and I have an interest in water and development of a groundwater sustainability plan in the South American subbasin where this project is located. And the fact that the Harvest Water Project is located in areas planned for urbanization and development and overlaps the SOIs of the city of Elk Grove that are acknowledged in letters, and also regarding discussions with the city of Elk Grove to expand the use of recycle water in urbanized areas, really does raise some legitimate concerns amongst the residents in our area. And there's also the feeling that the project could drive development in Elk Grove, and that the project has possibly be subverted really to fulfill the desires of local developers, and that's been discussed in public meetings that we've had of late. This project has really been tailored for two special interest groups, the ag group and the environmental interest group, and all of the outreach for the last 20 years of planning and development of this project have been strictly targeted to those groups. The public outreach that we've had has occurred within the last couple of months at best. And I really support this project as a management action to attain sustainability in groundwater in the South American subbasin. And I have concerns that the transparency of the future plans for this project, the plans for water banking, plans for sale of water from our basin to outside regions. None of this has been discussed, and all of this is in the future of this project. I just think that we really need more transparency. We really need more public involvement, and we needed it 20 years ago, not now. There's just been so many opportunities for the city of Elk Grove that's deeply involved in this project, the local water agencies that have been planning this for so many years to have involved the public in this process. And now we're being drawn in at a time when it's being implemented. And so there's some real questions that this type of action and this course of action by these agencies has really developed a culture of self-interest in the southeast area of Elk Grove that's being put above the interest of the public. And once again, I support the project. I don't support how it's being done or how it's being discussed in pieces rather than as a whole. I think that we need to be part of that discussion, that we need to understand what the implications of this project and when it's fully developed will have in our region. Thank you.
And that concludes the public comment.
Okay, thank you.
Briefly, Chair Little.
Sure.
A quick response on a couple of points raised. One point I want to clarify is this is an action specific to the service requested recycled irrigation water. There are, as a water district, the Enabling Legislation Principal Act does include a host of other powers called latent powers that a district may exercise. The district may not exercise their latent powers without the approval of your commission. If there were any sort of inclination down the road for folks that want to recharacterize this process, this project from recycled irrigation water to the regional sanitation district, get it into the potable water distribution or retailing business, that would require an application for a reorganization from the district to the commission with the commensurate environmental analysis, service analysis, municipal services review. We would be looking at a separate project that would have a requirement for, to provide that service would require a sphere of influence amendment specific to the service that the district does not presently provide, which is water service. They provide wastewater treatment services. A substantial difference at the end of the budget has a great impact. But I just wanted to clarify that detail. Defer to this regional staff if they have anything else they would like to add in response.
Trying to get off of mute there. I don't have anything to add. I don't know, Dave Richardson, do you have anything you want to add to that? I think that was well covered.
No, I think Don covered it well. I think relative to transparency, we do feel it's really important to let the regional stand ratepayers know about this project. As Dave mentioned, and Don as well, that with the benefits of having this new way of using the recycled water resource, not just discharged to the river, but also reused for habitat and agricultural irrigation, that's something that is going to benefit the entire region. So we brief the regional sand board at every occasion as they represent all of the ratepayers throughout the regional sand area about the project, about the program, the benefits, and we do foresee even more of that public outreach as the project gets implemented.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from fellow commissioners?
This is Commissioner Liebig. Can I move the item?
You may.
And this is Commissioner Jones. I'll second that with the,
Okay.
we have 4 recommendations and it all looks good.
All right. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Budge,
Yes.
Desmond,
Aye.
Frost,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Liebig.
Aye.
Thank you. Valenzuela
Yes.
and Commissioner Little.
Aye.
Thank you. All in favor. Motion passed.
Well, thank you. And thank you to all the folks from Regional SAN for being here as well, and that good presentation, and for the public for their comments. Do we have anything else on the agenda here?
Just questions
Don?
and announcements.
I have no announcements or any points to raise for the commission.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Commissioners, any announcements?
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Jones, and I'm moving to the second bullet under there for the Executive Officer Recruitment Update.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
For about 60 seconds here. I would like to thank Deanne Gillick and Nancy Miller for all their work in developing the job announcement, as well as to my fellow commissioners on the ad hoc committee, Chairperson Little and Commissioner Rich Desmond. The legal team has done an outstanding job of posting the job description. We have it out to under the county umbrella. We have it out to various consulting firms. We also have it on various websites and communications through outside of the county, including distribution with CalAFCO, postings with CSAC, the League of Cities, CSDA, and also the Municipal Managers Association, as well as we also have I have to read this, sorry, Western Cities newsletter. So I feel, as a member of the ad hoc committee, and I hope my fellow commissioners feel the same way, I feel very confident that this job posting, this job announcement is getting out to all corners. And I'm hopeful and optimistic that we'll have a very positive response. One quick addition, I appreciate Don Lockhart saying that he will be around for a few more months. I'll let Don speak to that specifically if he wants. So we have enough time for transition, for a very viable and productive transition period. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Do any of my other fellow ad hoc committee members wish to add anything?
This is Rich Desmond. Yes, I want to echo your comments, Commissioner Jones. I appreciate that, and thank you for your efforts. And Don, yes, thank you for sticking around. It'll give us a little more elbow room here to get this process done the right way. And I'm just happy to participate in the process. Thank you.
And I will add my own gratitude for that as well. I think that will help us make a smoother transition. And my final comment would be to Member Valenzuela, Commissioner Valenzuela, for joining us this evening in lieu of Commissioner Loloe, and thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. I hope he's less consistent in the future so I get to come back. So nice to be here.
Well, if we don't have any other items, the meeting will be adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.
I just want to thank the ad hoc committee, because it's really important that we get someone who can do as good a job as Don has done over time. And So thank you all for your service on that ad hoc committee.
You're welcome. Well, thank you, everyone. And the meeting is adjourned at 6:41.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.